I'll be doing a series called the Grow Series, and it is designed to help Christians find a place of consistent growth and overcoming power in their spiritual lives. We're seeing people coming repeatedly to the altar week after week after week, trying to find some answer to their spiritual inconsistencies and their spiritual weakness. We also see Christians waiting for the next man or woman of God to come up who puts their hands on them, and they're expecting some level of magic to take place and it will make them spiritually strong. Well, guess what? Spiritual growth and strength is not magic. It takes work. It takes discipline. That's why we're called disciples, because it takes discipline. It's a series. We're just going to cover one today, just one spiritual discipline. But let me read a verse that is going to take us through the entire series. And I'm going to read it from the Amplified Version. It says, and this is Hebrews 5:14, but solid food is for the spiritually mature, whose senses are trained by practice to distinguish between what is morally good and what is evil. Now, the spiritual discipline that we're talking about today is personal prayer. And I'm going to just share a little testimony of my own life. When I was in my upper teens, I had the same problem. You couldn't maintain growth and strength in your spiritual life. And if we're honest with ourselves, there are times when we don't feel like praying. There are times we don't feel like reading the Bible. In fact, guess what? Even when you're a mature Christian, there are times you don't feel like. So, I remember at that time, I decided, okay, God, 5 minutes, that's all, 5 minutes per day. And I would set my clock for 5 minutes. And I designed the 5 minutes. So I'd have like praise, thanksgiving, requests, etc. And when the 5 minutes was up, that was it. But I'm going to tell you something. God prefers, He prefers consistency or faithfulness over spurts and inconsistency. Believe me. Some of us, we have this glorious idea, I'm going to spend 1 hour per day with God, when we know that we're not strong enough for that. Can you imagine getting up today and say, look here, I'm going to the gym and I'm going to lift. I'm going to lift 100 pounds. I'm going to lift 150 pounds. But if you have not been exercising, you'll not be able to do that, right? So we're talking about personal prayer today. So here's what I want you to do. 1, I want you to find somewhere where you can pray, a place that you can have some level of privacy, a lack of distraction, and you can give yourself to just a short time of prayer. I'm encouraging you to begin with 5 minutes. So 5 minutes. I know some of you might have a challenge finding a place. It can be during lunchtime, at work, you find a little corner, 5 minutes. It can be under your blanket at nights when you're ready to retire. As long as it's 5 minutes, there are no distractions and you're not sleeping. And you don't have to go over the 5 if you're just starting out. So you're going to make out exactly what you're going to do. So, all right, you could begin with a song of praise. Then you can begin with a list of thanksgiving. And then you move into your prayer requests. So you might want to pray for family and friends. You might want to pray for your own problems. And I'm sure you might want to have a time when you tell God you're sorry about certain things. So you make out your list that suits you. But I do suggest open with praise and then move into thanksgiving. Then you move into the requests that you want to have in your prayer time. That is what I call focused prayer. So 5 minutes per day of focused prayer. But there's another type of personal prayer I want to introduce to you as well. And that is what I call diffuse prayer. That's the kind of prayer we pray throughout the day. You're in the bus and you say, Lord, I pray you just strengthen me at work, because Lord, that lady is just on my back. Or you're walking home and you say, Lord, I long to have a home of my own. You see, this rental situation is extremely difficult. Whatever it is, those are the prayers you shoot to God throughout the day, because God hears those prayers as well. So we want to have a focused prayer time, just 5 minutes. If you're just starting out, 5 faithful, consistent minutes. And then you have your diffused time. Now suppose you miss a day. You fall flat on your face, you miss a day. Don't be discouraged. Get up and start again. If you follow this prescription, you're going to find after a while your spiritual life will begin to improve. So let's practice personal prayer as one of the elements of spiritual discipline.